thank you very much for coming. Seriously, I really do want to thank everyone for all the work that you do, all the time you spend. It means a lot to our players, to their families, to our fans. So I really sincerely want to start the year thanking you for what you're going to do, what so many of you have already done, and hopefully we do our part to help you do your job. But thanks for coming, and I will answer anything you want to know.
Bill, you always talk about getting to 200 minutes, finding a way to get all those minutes with this team. How do you map that out? Who do you see right now getting a lot of those minutes with so many of them up for grabs?
No, there's a lot of, obviously, I think we lost like 85% of our minutes from last year, so there's a lot of opportunity. We're playing a lot of different players in practice. We will definitely play more players than we've played in the past. We're going to give them all a shot at it. And I've always been someone that coaches don't decide who plays. The players do. And you need to do your job and contribute to success, and you'll get to play. So we've experimented with a lot of different combinations. And unfortunately, we have not had our whole team together for various reasons, injuries and whatever. So I'm not can't be real specific on it, but we're going to play a lot of guys, and we'll see what happens.
Couple questions, Bill. The first, where would you guess your team ranks in terms of experience among, Division I teams, whatever we want to categorize it? And two, what's both the challenge and the enjoyment of having so many raw young players with talent that you've got to develop quickly in some ways, but you can really lay a groundwork for them developing year after year?
Yeah, I don't know the exact number, but there won't be very many teams with fewer years of Division I experience than our team, certainly in the Big 12. So that's a challenge. I think the one thing that, like the other day, we were scrimmaging and we had 5 freshmen in the game. That's why I'm a lot more gray than I already was. Hannah's, older, but has never played Division I basketball. And all 6 of those people are going to be in the games for us. I think the challenge, especially with the freshmen, is, we have to teach them the pace. Big thing for us, we always talk about pace and purpose. And the pace is something that is it's rare, foreign to them. So you're trying to push that / show the patience that they need to understand that. And it's been fun. Our kids have shown up every day. They're an easy group to be around. We've talked a lot about. I'm really big on you find a way or you find an excuse, and we have an excuse that we're young. If you want to use it, no one that we play cares. And I told the freshmen yesterday, I think it was Coach Campbell had 8 true freshmen play some really big minutes Saturday night. Well, if you can play true minutes in a Big 12 football game, you ought to be able to play some minutes in a Big 12 women's basketball game. So that's why they came here. They came because they knew they were going to play. So there'll be some really, really fun moments, and there'll be some frustrating ones. And it's like I told Deb, it's like when we're raising our kids. There's a lot of exciting time, but you find yourself repeating a lot, and but that's okay. It's been fun so far.
Coach, you've kind of had the same rotating cast of characters the last 4 years or so around this program, and to have such a big freshman class and such a young team in front of you this late in your career, what's the mindset that you take into that?
That's kind of the one thing about I think college sports anymore. There's nothing that's normal, nothing that's stable. We are big on adjust, adapt, overcome kind of mentality. Obviously, we were blessed to have Ashley Jones for 5 years. And so, when you lose great players, that's a big loss. But at the same time, you understand, I think, what it takes to develop good players. And so, yeah, it's been a different challenge. And I said to our staff before, every season's almost like taking a new job. And it's like we walked into I mean, when you look at our roster, we have 13 players on our roster. Elisa, who transferred from LSU, is redshirting this year. So 12 active players, 10 of them have never played or barely played at this level. So, it is like starting over. And that the challenge of that is, how do you balance the patience and how do you balance, there's an obligation on how you play here and all those teams. So there's a certain way we're going to play, there's a certain way we're going to act, there's a certain way we're going to represent our fan base, and there's certain things that are always non-negotiable. So how that translates to the basketball court, we'll find out. But it's been a good journey. I think the summer trip helped. So hopefully we'll be ready to go when the time comes.
You've always talked about how players earn that playing time and those opportunities. So far, who has made the most compelling cases for opportunities for you?
I think I really don't know that there's any one person. I think it's kind of what you would expect from freshmen, especially, and new players, that there's one or two really good days, and then there's a day they look like, oh my God, I'm playing Division I basketball and I'm not playing in some high school game somewhere. But all of them have had their moments. I think Isnell has really made a huge jump for us, but she's got a little more college experience, so that's helped. It's given us someone around on the block that we haven't had in a while. But I think if you came to practice 5 days in a row, all of you would leave and go, those are the two best players on the team, and you'd all pick two different people every day. And I don't think that's a bad thing, but at some point, the challenge for us initially is, at some point, who are you going to throw the ball to when you have to throw the ball to them? And Ashley Jones isn't here anymore. So that right now, that's the challenge, is where do you get your separation as the game goes on. But we have a close scrimmage, we have an exhibition game, obviously 10, 12 more practices, 13 more practices before the season opens. So there'll be a lot of opportunity. We're actually scrimmaging more than maybe we ever have, because we want to see them play, and who can do that. So I think you're going to see them all for sure early.
Bill, in the past, at least a couple times, I've heard you refer to Emily as almost like another coach. What's the value of having her why you start this journey with so many young players?
Oh, I've said this many times. I've done this a long, long time, and I've never been around a person like that, a leader like that. Like, she's easing her way back from her injury. She's kind of on a load management, pitch count. It's a long year. We're not trying to overwork her. We're trying to give the freshmen a lot. So if you come to practice, Emily's calling the plays. I mean, from the sideline, and she gets it. She understands it. And I think and I think the thing about her that's been even more special is she's embraced the idea of, she's looking around the room and there's not a lot of people she's played with before, if ever. And, that could be something that, you make an excuse for, or you embrace that. And for all you young people in the room, there used to be an ad called E.F. Hutton. It was a financial, and when E.F. Hutton spoke, people listened. Well, when Emily Ryan speaks, people listen. And that's been something that's really been a huge benefit for us.
Bill, you've always talked about doing things the Iowa State way with a lot of new faces. How do you explain that to them?
Yeah, we talk about that an awful lot. We have the older players talk about it. It's something I ask my staff to do. But there's a certain way, and again, it's about an attitude of gratitude. It's about understanding how lucky you are to play here. It's about representing the fan base. It's about, doing the things that you're capable of doing every single day. It's about how you treat people. It's about showing up on time. Hopefully, it's not just our way. It's a way to teach life lessons and be appreciative of. Our kids work really hard, but they got a lot of good things going on too. So I want them to really understand the amount of people that are supporting them is, you talk about assistant coaches and medical staff and nutrition, and we could be here all day talking about the people that are in their life. So it's mainly about you show up, you do what you're supposed to do. You're a better player, better teammate, better person every day. And hopefully at the end of the day, obviously we all understand. We are in a win-lose business. That's what most people care about. No one wants to hear about graduation rate. No one wants to hear about your grade point average. But we only play 30 games a year, ballpark. There's 365 days in a year. Well, what do you do in the other 335 to impact success? And so that's what we're trying to get them to understand. And luckily, all of our new kids, this is new to them, but accountability is not. They've been raised right, taught right, coached right. So it's been a little bit easier than I thought.
Looking at this prompted this question here. You have your staff. You have 9, okay? I think your first team had 9 players, and you had 2 assistants. I mean, you sit back sometimes and realize the growth of this, of what you've done, what your team's done, what the university has. I mean, you took a pay cut to come here. You know what the university has done, just the amazing growth and the whole
Yeah,
thing.
that would be, we could be here hours, Chuck, talking about that. Yeah, it's been a lot. This was probably about to crowd our first game, babe, I think, when we came to Iowa State. So, but yeah, I think the biggest thing is our university, and I've been so lucky, from the presidential level on down. It's certainly now with Dr. Winterstein, Jamie Pollard, Callie Sanders. They've done so much to support what we're about. And you see the growth of women's basketball across the country. Obviously, that's part of it. But here, the thing that I've always thought is that our administration really is emotionally attached to our team. They believe in our team. They believe in the value of our team. And hopefully in some small way, Iowa State women's basketball has impacted our university, our community, our state in a way that makes people proud, whether you're an Iowa State fan or not. But I've been really lucky to have the staff that I've had. A lot of them have been with me for a long time. One of them his whole life. But I've said this many times, and most of you know me. I don't say anything I don't mean, and it gets me in trouble a lot. But I have the best coaching staff in the country, and it's not even close. When I get to see these people every day, how they operate, what they do, the commitment they have to the players, the commitment they have to this university. We have some new people, but we have a lot of people that have invested most, if not all, of their professional life to this school, to this team, to this town, and that you just don't see that. Loyalty is a word that doesn't really exist anymore in a lot of things in our life, but the loyalty that those guys have had to Iowa State it's remarkable, and I could not thank them enough for all they've done for our school and certainly for me.
In the past you never shied away from these are expectations, things we want to achieve this season, whether it's like sweeping the in-state rivalry or we want to win a Big 12 championship. Going into this season, do you have tangible goals that you want this team to accomplish that you feel are within reach?
We don't talk about that as a team as much as others do or should. I think it's a little harder with a younger team because they already have enough on their plate a little bit to just show up and play here. And we always joke, have a guess in the staff meeting of what freshman shoots the first air ball at Hilton, and which one comes out with their shoes in the wrong place or their jersey on in the wrong place, and so but for me personally, I think you're always trying to do something where you're playing in March, and where we're for this team, I think trying to play games that matter at the end of the season, it will be a challenge. Our schedule is harder than it should be, but that's just the way it is. So I know I'm kind of dancing around your question, but for me, it's the same thing. Selection Sundays, besides Christmas, is the greatest day of the year for me. and hopefully on Selection Sunday you're excited about that day like you are for Christmas. And if you're not, then you should be disappointed.
Last thing I wanted to ask, I know you had mentioned Emily kind of being under a pitch count. Do you have some clarity in terms of if she'll be good to go for the start of the season, stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the plan. I mean, that's why we're doing it the way we're doing it. What we've tried to do with her and our medical staff has done an amazing job. They're just tremendous people, and how they're doing their jobs is not, tie anything down to a date, but it's a long season. Emily's put in she's got a lot of, she's like the running back. The people don't want to pay anymore because they've already done it, and you got to be careful with her, but she'll be ready to go when the time comes. We just have to be smart about it, and I think in a weird way we're trying to rest her enough while giving these other kids even more opportunities to see, so that when she does get back, we know what we have, maybe a little bit more than if we asked her to carry the load the whole time.
It seemed like towards the beginning of conference play through the end of last season, Nye kind of took a big jump. How have you seen that trajectory throughout this offseason?
No, Nye's been tremendous. I mean, I think especially since, Emily hasn't been on the court as much. I mean, Nye's kind of been the leader. She did finish the year really, really strong, probably played the best basketball of her life the last month of the season. We need her to make another jump. I think we were at an event, and Billy introduced the kids that were there, and he introduced her as a future all Big 12 player, and I think that's possible. I really do. She can score, she can defend, and I think the success that she had at the end of last year has really motivated her to come back that way. And the thing about Nia is she gets it. She understands the role she's in. Her and Emily being the only two players of any experience, and some kids run away from that, and some kids accept it and embrace it. And she's been fantastic since we came back in the summer, and I think she's going to have a really, really good season.
She kind of took on the role of the 5 in kind of a small ball lineup at times last season. Has that sort of been her role for this upcoming season, or what does that look like?
The good news is you won't see her at the 5. No, and she's the happiest person in America probably. We have other people who can do that, and you won't put the 6'2", really small, slight kid in against the monsters at Texas. And she'd look over at me every once in a while on the bench, and I'd always look the other way because we didn't have anyone else to go in the game. So, but no, she won't. Actually, she's playing some point guard this year, so it's kind of gone the other way. She's gone from the emergency 5 to the emergency 1. So she likes that a lot better. So do I.
5 years of Ashley Jones, and now year 1 with Kelsey Jones. What has she shown you since arriving? And obviously, when you're at Jones, you bring a certain skill set and attitude to the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the best way to put it. She's a Jones. Being competitive is in your DNA. Working hard is in your DNA. Accept hard coaching. Doing the things. And again, I don't think there's any player on our team who has worked harder, who's been put in the worst position by the head coach than Kelsey Jones. I mean, with Emily out, AJ's been out, Kelsey's had to play point guard a lot, and there isn't really anyone else. So she has to play the position, get chewed out playing the position, has to play a lot of minutes. And, oh, by the way, she was playing basketball at West Liberty High School last year. But she never wavers. She competes. She does. I mean, we were overseas. She was the second leading rebounder on our team. But she, I don't think I'll be around when Bailey comes, but the little sister. But if I'll take it, Jones, any day, all day.
Coach, with all the turnover that you had, how do you kind of keep that same message to the incoming freshmen when you were recruiting them? Obviously you have different players on the team, but with them leaving, just really how do you keep that same message to them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think part of the reason, or part of the way we've kind of done it is the 5 freshmen all committed fairly early. So the 5 freshmen and myself, we were in a group text all the time. So we were always communicating. They came in as friends. They came in having a little bit better knowledge of each other, a little bit better knowledge of the program. I think also having Kelsey Jones on the team, whose sister played, Ariana Jackson grew up an Iowa State fan, and her brother played football here. Her dad played football here. So at least there's knowledge of what it means to be an Iowa State student athlete. And the other kids, I think, have just fallen that lead. But I think knowledge of what they were getting into, certainly you have to play and do it, but they're a very unique group. And I told them when we recruited them, I said, you're the foundation of the end of my time here. And the future's got to be now. And I told them that yesterday. And you can wait and feel sorry for yourself when things go bad because I'm a poor little freshman, or you just, let's go play. And again, I use the example of Coach Campbell playing 8 true freshmen the other night. So they're ready to go. They're going to play hard. They're going to be fun to watch. I think our fans will really enjoy them. So I look forward to watching them develop.
Wanted to ask you about the flop rule, how you feel about it, and do you think it's significant at all?
Well, I think the flop rule is like anything like that, Larry. I think the judgment of the officials, like we have to watch a video. It's an hour and 8 minutes of my life I can't get back every year, and it's interesting. The officials are the greatest, and the coaches are, we're not teaching this right and that right, but the officials haven't missed anything yet. Well, that was a great way to start the year, wasn't it? But I think everything is about interpretation. And the examples they show in the video, it's literally, it's obvious. It's like the football player that flops, or now, did you really get hit? I think it'll be interesting to see how they enforce it. And because you watch like the men's games last year, and they're giving that signal, and you're watching it and you're going, okay. And then the next one's like, why isn't that one? I think they're trying to make the game sportsmanship and bench decorum and all this stuff was a huge piece of it. I mean, with the growth of the sport, I don't think they want to take away from it. So I think it's a good rule. I think it's needed. It's just a matter of, are you going to make that call with 2 minutes to go in the game? Are you going to, like most things, I would say the first 5 games of the season, you're going to see it a lot, and then it'll probably go away. But it was needed, but again, I don't know how they're going to enforce it. The happiest person in the room, the Sooners here, so.
Boomer, everybody. Thank you very much. You talked generally about the freshmen, but who stood out to you?
Well, AJ hasn't stood out as much because she's missed practice. But I think, like I said earlier, every one of them has really had a great moment or 2 or 3. So if we had a game tonight, I would not be surprised if 4 of them started. It's a work in progress, but I guess, Shannon, I put it this way. I have the utmost confidence in all 5 of them, and they're going to be in games. Like, we're working on special situations last night, and we're calling plays, 8 seconds to go, down 1, and you look out there, and there's 4 freshmen and a transfer. So you don't do that if you don't believe a kid can make a play. So I really believe that they're all going to impact our team, and hopefully sooner than later.
Can you talk about Audie?
Yeah, Audie's done a great job. Obviously, Audie is someone that is a true treasure of our state. Obviously, growing up in Algona and coming here, she's got great hands, great feet. She competes. I think the challenge for Audie, like, one of the hardest things to do is be a freshman post player at this level and learn the pace and learn the physicality and the system, and she's worked at it every day. When I met with her the other day, it was all her favorite word is growth. Every day, there's got to be some growth. So our fans are going to love watching her. She does a lot of good things. We haven't had a true back to the basket block player here ever, maybe. But she's certainly that, but she's just been a great addition, and when you talk to her, she's one of those kids that she's always smiling, she's always happy, and she's always willing to do whatever it takes, not just for her teammates, but for the people that she meets. So she's a special young person, and we're lucky to have her.
With so many newcomers on the team this year, how have you had to adjust your coaching style, if at all, to make sure your message is still getting across? I imagine a lot of patience is involved, but how have you had to adjust as a coach?
Patience and me don't go together as well as probably it should, but I don't know that we've adjusted a lot. I think we've allowed them to kind of learn on their own at times. We've allowed Emily to lead and I to lead, but I think I mentioned earlier, you walk a very fine line between, hey, this is Division I basketball at the highest level. This is what you have to do with understanding. They don't get it. It's brand new. It's the example that I gave to them and to our staff is like you walk into this is a classroom. So they go to a class and they're taking math and they're learning. They're not going to know the very first day. So you end up repeating yourself a lot, going over things a lot. I think the one adjustment we've made for me is hard is our system is fairly complicated. And so we've tried to limit our playbook a little bit, which is really hard for me to do. But I think most of it is just trying to understand what they need individually and collectively on a daily basis, because it's not something that, hey, next week we're going to be doing this. I mean, we're worried about tomorrow, literally, and that sounds ridiculous. I'm not trying to be silly, but literally we will worry about tomorrow, then we'll meet and we'll worry about Saturday. And I think with a young team, you can push way too fast, and I think early I did. So we've kind of pulled back a little bit, and hopefully there's a little bit more of a comfort level for them.
Bill, to expand on Audie a little bit, she was so dominant in high school, so infrequently challenged. How have you and your staff helped her kind of transition to this is going to get a lot more difficult and a lot more of a challenge for her?
Well, obviously, there's a lot of video involved. Our scout team guys are tremendous. We have guys come in every day, and she's playing against people that block her shot, and she's playing against people that are above her shoulders for the first time in her life, probably. And I think it's, our coaches, like I said, the individual player development of our staff, especially my assistants, is really good. Coach Shaven, Coach Steyer deal with the post players a lot. Stephanie's here, and it's nice to have, oh, by the way, that's the number 4 pick in the draft over there talking to you. You might want to listen. So it's a collective thing. But I think that the first thing, though, is you have to be willing to be coached. And I always talk, successful people, they're willing and they're able. She's able, and a lot of people are able, but are you willing to accept coaching? And yeah, I mean, the last game she played in high school, the whole staff sat there and watched her put 49 on someone in the state championship game. That's not going to happen, at this level. So you have to understand that, grow from that, be willing to accept criticism, celebrate success, and build on, for her, it's about evolving into minutes. Where can we get her physically to where she can play more minutes at a pace that we'd like to play. So far it's been really good, and really proud of what she's trying to do. Again, thank you all for coming. If we can ever help you, let us know, okay? Go Cyclones.